This news segment highlights a gender imbalance in Taiwan's tech industry. Women hold just 18% of senior executive roles, underscoring a persistent leadership gap. Although laws guarantee equal pregnancy protection and parental leave, workplace support is lacking, forcing women to juggle childcare while competing for the same opportunities as men. Moreover, only about 1 in 4 fathers actually take parental leave, leaving caregiving duties to women. Experts recommend adopting Sweden's daddy quota, which requires each parent to use at least 3 months of leave or forfeit it, and emphasize that both cultural shifts and policy reforms are essential to close this workplace gender gap. Hello everyone, welcome to our news commentary. I'm Mike, your favorite professor, and today we're going to discuss a recent report on gender equality in Taiwan's tech industry. Before we start watching the content for today's course, here are 6 essential terms to know for better understanding. The first is leadership gap, followed by motherhood and career balance. The third one is legal protections during pregnancy. The next is the parental leave rights, followed by daddy quota system. And the last one is cultural attitudes and policy limitations. I will give a brief introduction. This slide defines the gender gap. The gender gap refers to the difference in opportunities, status, or rights between men and women in a particular field. Here, it highlights the proportional difference between men and women in senior positions within the tech industry. Here we explain the leadership gap. A leadership gap is the disparity in representation between groups, such as men and women, in leadership roles. It usually refers to the underrepresentation of women in leadership positions compared to men. This slide covers work-life balance during motherhood. It describes how women attempt to manage both being a mother and advancing professionally. Often women must balance work responsibilities and family care during pregnancy and childcare, which frequently becomes a bottleneck in the workplace. This slide defines legal protections during pregnancy. These laws ensure that pregnant employees receive fair treatment at work. Although such protections exist on paper, many companies still lack sufficient practical support for pregnant women in the workplace. This slide introduces the daddy quota system. It is a parental leave policy that requires fathers to take a minimum period of leave. Otherwise, they forfeit that portion of parental leave. Sweden's model allows parents to share up to 16 months of leave, but if fathers don't take at least 3 months, they lose those months. Here we discuss cultural attitudes and policy limitations. This refers to deeply held societal beliefs and the restrictions of existing laws. Experts believe closing Taiwan's gender gap requires changing traditional mindsets and addressing policy shortcomings. A 2021 report from a leading Taiwanese job bank reveals that women hold just 18% of senior tech executive positions, highlighting a significant leadership gender gap in Taiwan's technology sector. Today, we will break down the main findings and explore why this issue persists, even though legal protections exist on paper. First, let's look at the key statistics. The report shows that although women are well represented in many tech roles, only 18% of high-level executive positions are occupied by women. This means that out of every 100 senior tech roles, fewer than 20 are held by women. We call this disparity the gender gap in leadership. Next, the report highlights that women in leadership often have to work harder than men to gain the same level of recognition and opportunities. In other words, despite having equal qualifications, women may still face additional hurdles in promotions or project assignments. Another challenge is balancing motherhood with career growth. Although there are legal protections during pregnancy and equal parental leave rights on paper, many women feel that workplaces do not truly support their needs. For instance, when a mother returns to work after having a baby, she may require flexible hours or on-site childcare, but these benefits are not always available. In fact, the number numbers show that in 2022, only 1/4 of parental leave applicants were fathers. This low uptake suggests that childcare duties still fall heavily on women, making it harder for them to advance professionally. On the other hand, in Sweden, a daddy quota system requires each parent to use at least 3 months of parental leave or lose those months. This encourages fathers to share caregiving responsibilities more equally. In summary, closing Taiwan's workplace gender gap requires both cultural change, where companies and society truly value shared caregiving, and policy improvements to ensure that legal protections translate into real support. Thank you for watching today's commentary. For more updates, stay tuned to our channel. I'm Professor Mike, and this has been our analysis of gender equality in Taiwan's tech industry. Have a great day.